There's a lot of base locations for ARK the Center, many new locations with the new terrain added with ASA, many nooks and crannies for PvP. I don't think I can even begin to describe how many places you can try and hide away in, but in particular with this new version of the Center, I was curious exactly what new locations are there for you to build in. Bear in mind all of these locations are considering land access, but ensuring they require the least amount of defenses possible against any nasty would-be dinos. PvP players, you may want to take these with a pinch of salt, but you never know, they could work for you too. So I've thoroughly picked a range of good locations based on where you may want to build on for the center. So starting with the floating island, which is always a go-to place for many players out there, and of course you're going to need a flyer to initially get to this place, but there's plenty of access from here. This originally was a base location in ASC, hidden behind the waterfall right at the tippity top of the mountain. The difference with it this time is this waterfall is impassable. Although my camera just went through it, no players can pass through this waterfall, meaning you've got a lot less to defend building on this cliff edge right here, just having to keep an eye more so on this gap on the left, with plenty of flat space for you to build a sizable base in, and carries you to one singular ramp that you can easily block off, with plenty of more space down in the bottom, pushing you down into further locations of the floating island. Definitely one to go for if you plan to build on the floating island. Round to the redwoods now, and admittedly on the west side of the redwoods, if you plan to build anywhere there, I don't remember this location being as prominent as it is now in ASE. But as you can see, it's a giant space with plenty of room for you to build in. I kind of opted to perhaps build a base over there in the crack with this natural plateau pulling all the way around to a giant space, able to fit plenty of dinos for you, and easily defendable with one behemoth gate, with a drop-off cliffside to one end, and with plenty of metal reachable pretty close, though admittedly there was loads of metal here when I had to destroy it to show how much land space was available. With natural land access to the redwoods, there's a couple of ramps you can choose to go either left or right to head back down, but definitely a nice secluded location if you plan to build in the redwoods. Though if you plan to build on the east side of the redwoods, you might remember a cave, the Megalania cave. Well, it's been given a bit of an overhaul to make it a much easier location to build in, with an absolutely giant amount of space for you to build whatever you need in this location. It's defendable by pretty much like 2.5 behemoth gates, and that's all you're going to need. But this area is all brand new. None of this was in the ASE version of this cave, with one pretty giant hollow area there, and there is a lot of metal in this cave, so kind of sucks to take out all of this back here, but you should still have access to some metal beyond this behemoth gate, as well as plenty of crystal and the natural waterfall ramp that was there originally in ASE, should you really choose to push out this far. It's definitely a decent worthy cave to push into. If that feels like a bit too far up in the skies, there is a nice natural pillar that pushes out further below it, with one way in and able to be defended with one singular behemoth gate, though perhaps a bit too thin for my liking. But if you're looking to build a bit lower down and access to even more metal in the area and closer to the sea level, then this is definitely a good spot for you too. Heading over now to the more bobbier regions, whilst the two tropical islands, I didn't feel like much had changed with them to offer any new locations, and definitely no new decent locations worth building in. Jungle South has a feeling like new location, and admittedly I don't recall this being in the same shape form that it was in ASE, but it's a pretty sizable space, elevated away from any dangers lurking around. Plenty for you to expand upon if you really wanted to. You've got this whole area below with some cheeky Gigantoraptor spawns nearby, but there's literally one way to access this area, and it's simply these stairs right here, which is a very, very small way up. There's no way you're going to see a wild dino finding their way up here, or simply put a dino gate down and you're defended. That's it. That's all you're going to need. A decent spot if looking to build in the jungle. If you want to build closer to the north of the jungle, there is a spot that admittedly this one hasn't changed too much, but I'm a big fan of this one. It's a giant location, really easily well defended, big plateau area to build on all here. There is originally metal and crystal here for you to farm if you'd prefer to, and you could do by starting off from the area where this begins. Like, none of this is reachable, it's all cliff sides all around here with this access here, and you could start building just on this cliffside there with simply one behemoth gate there and one behemoth gate there, or maybe even spikes or anything less to keep these passageways blocked up. A really good location if you're looking to build a bit closer to Volcano Island. Speaking of which, Volcano Island, Lava Island, I guess kind of Singed Island now, has had a huge overhaul with many different locations on it. Though of all the spots, I found this one to perhaps be the best location on the north side of it, with a nice big area easily defended with one behemoth gate. You can see there is a drop off over here, but you can block this off as well and use this if you choose to too, with another behemoth gate over there. And that's it. That's this whole area cliffside covered with two behemoth gates. A lot of space for you to expand into and easily defendable against the nastier creatures on the map. If you want to build a bit closer to the tropical islands, then Half Burnt Island, that's now not really as half burnt, has got a similar sort of deal. A decent enough size, a bit smaller than the one we were showing on Lava Island, but big enough to build a base, but with one pretty to easy block off corridor here, though you probably don't want to do that and use this giant area here, defendable by 2.5 or 2.25 behemoth gates down there, and gives you access to all of this space here too, with plenty of room should you need it for breeding dinos or whichever. Though a difficult one with lots of arges normally flying about on this one. I'd be a bit careful because they are literally everywhere on Half Burnt Island, or not really half burnt at all, more greeny island, half green island. Looking to build nearby North Snow, there's a pretty good spot just on the cups of it, so hopefully it won't be as cold as going up to the snowy mountains, but with one natural area to fall back to, you can build a decent enough size base there, but it pulls around to a big wide open area that's defendable with two behemoth gates in that valley there. This passageway over here needs just one dino gate to block it off completely, giving you plenty of space to use. Definitely a big enough space for most to use, with access to North Snow, Green Knob not too far away, and all the resources included there. And of course the Ice Palace just underneath. Though, if you want to build a bit closer, there's an absolutely massive location, pretty flat location, just halfway down the western cliffs, with loads of space to use. No wild spawns down here, though admittedly there is no natural land access to this, kind of contradicting my rules here, but there's a way to ramp down, to ramp up, to get back up to the tippity top should you want to build down in the western cliffs. Though there is perhaps the best base location on this list, and that is spawning over on the southern side of the western cliffs. There is a wicked new area that the community revealed to me. A brand new cave, new to the center, that's hidden behind this giant waterfall and offering absolutely loads of space. It could potentially be something for PvP, with it being a giant tunnel that flows all the way down. This is a massive space to use, with another cliffside edge just round here, space for somewhere else, and two land entrances, one down here at the bottom that follows out to a route with nowhere to go but the water, and at the top of the passageway will take you all the way up to a natural cliffside path that will take you back up to the Ice Palace. Really secluded, a really good location. I'm probably going to build in this one. I like this one. It's a good spot. Turning around to South Snow now. I'm not sure whether this location was always here. I think it might have been, but in terms of having somewhere close to South Snow, this is perhaps one of the more smaller locations of the list, but again, defendable with 2 behemoth gates right opposite the floating island with access to that and ramp access to take you up to South Snow should you need to access that, and a route all the way back down to Green Ob. Not the biggest size, but definitely some nice, lovely views if you want to build over here. And if you fancy building in the Underworld in a brand new location, well, there is one that's been completely changed from ASE. Not too obvious where this is initially. It's a decent enough size, perhaps not one of the biggest, but it's really well hidden away with just a giant pool of water to access to it. And if you follow the water all the way along, you might start realizing where we are. A passageway through to the Underworld, which opens out here. Not too much change in the Underworld. I was looking for a good location, couldn't find anything better than this one for a new location. But if you recall, this water pool here was originally all lava, which the devs have decided to change to water, and definitely considered a new location. This looks like it was meant to be one with ramps either side. Not the biggest one, but it's a new one worth checking out. Your only issue is if you really wanted to build here for PvP, you may not want to, but new locations for the center, knock yourself out. My most recommended ones. I'm definitely going to be building in one of these myself in the future, and I hope you've learned something. If you have, comment below, let me know. Until the next one, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, peace out.